Welcome back to The Explainer. Look, I am absolutely buzzing to jump into today's breakdown, because frankly, we are looking at one of the most unbelievable days of football in recent memory. If you thought you had the 2026 World Cup all figured out, Day 6 basically just took your script and tossed it out the window. Today, we're talking about a slate of games where massive, tournament-defining favorites didn't just stumble, they slammed headfirst into a total brick wall of underdog resilience. We've got heroics, we've got pure heartbreak, and a set of results that literally nobody saw coming. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you really want to grasp the pure chaos of Day 6, you just need to look at this single number, 4. We aren't talking about just one upset or maybe a couple of surprising moments. We had 4 completely shocking, consecutive draws. 4 matches where the expected narrative was flipped totally upside down. You know, in a tournament where the giants of the game are fully expected to just cruise through the group stages, getting 4 hard-fought, grinding draws in a single day? That is a massive statistical anomaly, and it completely shifts the momentum of this entire World Cup.
Section 1. Cape Verde stuns Spain. The reigning champions meet an immovable wall.
So to really wrap our heads around how wild this day was, we got to start with a matchup that, honestly, looked like a total formality on paper. But out on the pitch, it turned into a legendary defensive masterclass. We are looking at a classic David versus Goliath scenario here. On one side, you have Spain, the reigning European champions, right? A squad absolutely stacked with world-class talent and sky-high expectations. And on the other side, Cape Verde, the resolute island nation underdogs. The gap in expectations here was just massive. I mean, everybody tuned in expecting a Spanish masterclass, but Cape Verde clearly brought an entirely different game plan with them.
And the absolute hero of this defensive masterclass? Well, his story centers around another number, 40. Cape Verde's goalkeeper Vozinha literally just turned 40 years old earlier this month. Going up against the relentless, sweeping attacks of the reigning European champions, it was a 40-year-old veteran who just stood tall and decided, nope, his net simply would not be breached today.
Now what's really interesting here is just how historic Vozinha's defiance actually was. He didn't just scrape by, he put on an absolute clinic, pulling off 7 crucial saves against that Spanish attack. To put that into perspective for a second, that is the second most saves by a goalkeeper aged 40 or older in a single World Cup match since all the way back in 1966. Through sheer willpower and honestly some incredible reflexes, he single-handedly dragged his nation to a stunning 0-0 draw.
But, you know, beyond all the incredible data and the historic milestones, there's just the raw, human element of the sport. At the final whistle, after holding off mighty Spain for over 90 agonizing minutes, Vozinha completely broke down in tears. Because it wasn't just a draw, right? It was a monumental feat of endurance. The sheer gravity of what he and his teammates had just pulled off, holding the European champions to a standstill on the world's biggest stage, it just overwhelmed him. Honestly, it's exactly why we love this tournament so much.
Let's move on to Section 2, Belgium's lightning-fast rescue, a giant push to the absolute brink.
Because Spain wasn't the only giant waking up in a cold sweat on Day 6, Belgium found themselves staring down some unexpected and fiercely determined resistance from Egypt. And man, the tension here was palpable. Mohamed Salah's squad didn't just sit back and absorb pressure, they took the fight directly to the favorites. Imam Ashour fired an incredible strike to give Egypt the early lead, and that immediately put Belgium on the back foot. And the crazy thing is, Egypt actually held on to that lead for a massive chunk of the game. Belgium, a team normally bursting with attacking creativity, was struggling so deeply to put together any meaningful chances. The clock is ticking, the frustration is mounting, and a massive upset is brewing. So in a moment of pure desperation, Belgium looks to their bench and brings on Romelu Lukaku.
22 seconds. I mean, that is literally all it took. The whistle blows, Lukaku steps onto the pitch, absolute chaos in the box, a forced error, and the ball's in the back of the net. In just 22 rapid-fire seconds, Lukaku's presence alone forces an agonizing own goal off Egypt's Mohamed Hani. Just like that, in the absolute blink of an eye, Belgium is saved from what would have been a devastating defeat. It was fast, it was totally frantic, and it just perfectly captures the razor-thin margins of Day 6.
Section 3. Heartbreak and Heroics. Late drama for Saudi Arabia and New Zealand.
If those early matches were defined by underdogs standing their ground, the late matches were all about sheer agony and parallel stories of total heartbreak. Take Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay. Saudi Arabia actually managed to hold on to a lead deep into the match, backed by an absolutely phenomenal performance from their keeper, Mohamed Al-Awais. He was pulling off these incredibly smart saves to just totally frustrate the Uruguayan attack. But in the 80th minute, the wall finally cracked. Maxi Araujo finds the equalizer, forcing a point that sure satisfies both sides on paper, but really stings for a Saudi team that was just so incredibly close. Meanwhile, over in the other match, we got probably the most agonizing story of the day: New Zealand against Iran. Elijah just puts on a brilliant individual performance, scoring a brace. New Zealand is right there, hovering on the absolute edge of their first ever World Cup win. History was literally seconds away, but Iran simply refused to quit. They equalized not once, but twice, to deny New Zealand that historic victory and seal the fourth and final draw of the day.
So, what does this all mean for us? Well, here is the ultimate takeaway from this explainer. From 40-year-old goalkeepers reducing champions to tears of frustration, to lightning-fast 22-second rescue missions, to heartbreaking late equalizers, if Day 6 of the 2026 World Cup proved anything at all, it's that the gap between the favorites and the underdogs is a total illusion once that whistle blows. Literally no giant is safe. So as we look ahead to the rest of the group stages, I'm going to leave you with this. After watching the mighty struggle today, who will be the next to stumble? Thanks for hanging out with me for this breakdown on the explainer. Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.